Hi, everybody. Elise Enriquez, Purpose and Productivity Coach here. I am here to talk with you about finding your word, your theme, or your focus for 2018. A lot of people talk about their word for 2018. Some people talk about theme. I'm like, whatever you want to use it. But focus is a word I like to use as well. It's like, how are you going to, what word or something, phrase can you anchor yourself for your focus for 2018? I think is another great way to look at it. So let me give you just a very brief history of my experience of finding words and themes for the year. I'd never done it before until 2016. I distinctly remember where I was at when I found my word. And it was actually words. For 2016, I was newly separated from my husband at the time, and seemed like divorce was happening. And I had to figure out what my year was going to look like. And so I was at a church doing something called a white stone ceremony, where they guide you through a meditation or a visualization to look at your year, to say, fast forward to December of this year and look back, and what is it that you would have wanted to create? And I'd done that kind of work before, but I had never done it with the intention of creating a specific focus or word or phrase. And so I knew there were big changes coming my way, and there were going to be some big steps I was going to have to take, both emotionally and practically speaking. So what my words that I came up with for 2016 were bold and brave. And what was really cool about doing the ceremony is they handed out a stone to everyone so you could write your word on, your stone and take it with you. And it was a bold and brave year. Those words guided me all year long, and I shared my journey with everyone as I went in hopes of inspiring people along the way. 2017, my word for that year, and this is actually more of a phrase, it was every day matters. And this is actually just the back of the other stone, but every day matters. And that became my theme or my focus for 2017, because I'd already made it through 2016, and it was a big year of bold and brave moves. And I knew that for 2017, I wanted to just hold still for a minute, let things stabilize for the year. I wasn't gonna buy a new house or anything. I'd moved into my girlfriend's homes here, right here. Now we have a home office here, but I moved in and thought, I don't want to move again for a while. I'm not ready to buy a house yet. Let's just see where this year takes us. And so that was a reflection of 2016 of wanting 2017 to be a little bit more calm. The other thing I learned by making it through 2016 was that it is the everyday things in life that matter to me. It is the everyday activities that we do that move us forward. It's not the big swings that we take, like at the bat. It's not always the big trips. I mean, I went on some great trips in 2017. They were fun, but it was the everyday moments of making dinner with my girlfriend, or going to a movie with my friends, or going and reading stories to my niece and nephew at night. Like, those were the things that filled me. And so Everyday Matters was a really important, reminder in 2017. So here's what I learned from living that year. I did some work with a marketing expert on some stuff for my business, and they were brilliant people that were doing brilliant work for me, but what it required of me, I didn't have a solid foundation for. I had all of these loose ends. The other thing I noticed is that in 2017, I had launched a new program called Get Your Shit Together, and it deals with the ground level activities of day-to-day life. But I also work with people on purpose, and I also work with them on goals, and I also work with them on communication. And so what it started to feel like was that I had different strands of expertise or practice or work that I was doing. And then when it came to my personal life, what I wanted more of was bringing people together, right? Was having people over for dinner. And our house isn't that suitable for having people over for dinner because we have a tiny little dining area, and I like to have lots of people over, right? Another thing that showed up in my business was that one of my favorite things that I was doing was workshops. I really loved bringing people together to learn and grow. So in going through a practice of reflecting on my year at the end of last year, I went through a specific process with the guidance of one of my coaches, Debbie Page. And in doing that reflection process, I started to think about what is it that I wanted to bring forward into the new year? What is it that I didn't want more of? Therefore, what did I want more of, right? What went well? What was missing? Doing all those kinds of things and starting to ask all those questions led me to realize that gathering is my word for 2018. I want to gather people, whether it's personally for more dinners in a larger home eventually or a larger dining space eventually, or whether it's gathering people to learn and grow through workshops. I've always done purpose discovery workshops with intact teams. I've never done it as a public offering. And so this year will be my first year to offer a public purpose discovery workshop. So I need to gather the loose ends and all the different ways that I work with people into a nice cohesive model, which I've already developed. I just haven't shared it yet, but into a nice cohesive model so people understand all the ways in which they can work with me and I can impact them, right? So all of that led to this idea of gathering, and that feels really good to me. And that's the important thing, is that the word or phrase or theme that you pick just feels really good to you. So let me give you some tips on how you can uncover your word or theme or focus for 2018 if you haven't done it already. And if you have, I hope you will comment and share what your theme is. So that reflection piece is really important. Looking back at your previous years, looking back at 2017 and asking yourself a few questions will be really helpful. And here's why. Figuring out a focus or figuring out a theme, when you think about it, the idea of a theme or focusing something, it requires starting out with something to find what the theme is or something to actually focus. And so unless you have data, you can't have patterns, which means you can't have themes. So we have to get some data out of your head about the previous year and about what you want to create this year, so we can start to see some words or phrases that will surface to show, that will point to your theme. In order to get that data, you need to answer some questions. And so this means you have to do a little bit of work in order to find your theme. And I'll tell you what, finding your theme, it keeps you on track. When I was going through the hardest year of my life in 2016, it is what kept me going. I would just come back to being bold and brave. And when it came to 2017 and I felt like I was getting off track and things weren't going well or business slowed down, I had to remember it's those everyday activities that kept me going. Everyday matters was that theme. So I had to just keep anchoring back into that. So this year, gathering will be the thing that will anchor me, right? So you have to do some work to uncover this. So answering some questions will be really important. So I'm gonna look at some notes here. What went well in 2017? What went well? Like what thrived that you didn't expect to thrive in your life, in your business, whatever, wherever it might be. And for those things that went well, not everything that goes well is something you want to keep doing. So for those things that went well, what do you want to carry forward, right? And once you know what those things are, then you need to ask yourself, what do you need to do to make that happen, right? What do you need to do to carry that forward and perhaps grow it in 2018? And another good question is, and how would it make you feel to grow that thing, to bring that thing forward and grow it in 2018? How would that make you feel? So another question to ask yourself is, what did you love about 2017? So these are two different things, right? What went well is different than what did you love, right? There's some things that went well for me that I'm like, I don't really want to do that again now, right? So what did you love about 2017? So for me, I was talking about workshops earlier. You know, I loved doing the purpose discovery workshops with the teams that I worked with. I want to do more of that, right? It went well. It's not like it didn't go well and it wouldn't go in that first category, but it wasn't like the top income producer for my business, right? So it wouldn't have been top of mind for what went well. But what was something I loved doing those workshops. I loved that I could get people to really good results in those workshops. That was really fun for me, right? So how am I going to carry that forward? Well, one thing I can do is tell people that, which I just did, right? There's lots of things I can do to carry that forward. Another thing, and how would it make me feel to make that happen? I would be thrilled and energized and proud to have those things come forward, to have that idea of bringing more purpose discovery workshops to the world. So it's helpful to start to ask yourself some of those questions. And another good question to ask, so this is kind of the third big question. The first one was, what went well? What did you love? And the third one is, what was missing? What was missing from 2017? What did you get a little of and wanted more of? What did you get none of and you want more of? Whether it's love in your personal life, something like that, right? Love or romance or anything like that. Or whether when it comes to your business, it's, you know, like referrals or something like that, right? Something was missing, or collaboration or partnership. So asking yourself what was missing from 2017 and then drilling down to say, what would I need to do to make that happen in 2018, and how would it feel for that to happen? So you don't have to remember all those questions yourself. If you want to, I'm working on a little worksheet for you to help you figure out your focus for 2018. I just have to make a couple of finishing touches on it, and then it can be yours. So if you are interested in receiving that, this little handout to help you figure out how to focus your 2018 and find your word or theme, just go ahead and comment in the video below, and I'll make sure you know how to get a copy of that as soon as it's done. It's going to be done probably by Monday or Tuesday. So if you are still not sure of what you want your focus to be for 2018, your word, your theme, whatever you want to call it, and you want some help with that, you can use the worksheet that I'm making to guide that process. And of course, if you need any help along the way, I am here for you. You can always schedule a strategy session with me. So that's all for now. I hope your 2018 is off to a great start, and I hope that you have found your focus already. And if you haven't, that with the help of this handy dandy little worksheet, you will find it very soon. Happy New Year, everybody.